Heyo, Hudson here with Planet 4 Gaming. I'm flying the Il-2-37. It's a Russian battle rating 3.3 attacker. As you all no doubt already know, Russia has a lot of attackers. Starting out at the beginning of the game, you have the BB-1, you have the Su-2, you have the Il-2s going from the 1941 model on to the Il-2M. You have this, and you have the Il-10, two versions of that. When you're trying to decide if you want to fly out in an attacker to grind RP and lines and all that good stuff, you need to keep in mind what makes a good attacker. I have 3 criteria which decide whether you are flying a good attacker or not. 1 is being able to take out multiple tanks without having to return to base. That is the most important one. 2 and 3 are kind of optional, but still useful when it comes to flying an attacker. 2 is good maneuverability at low speed, and 3 is having good armor, damage resistance, whatever you want to call it. And when it comes to being able to take out multiple medium tanks without having to return to base, the Il-2-37 is pretty much perfect. You get 100 rounds of ammo in 2 37mm cannons, which have very good penetration, take out tanks in one hit, medium tanks, whatever, which is what you encounter most of the time. It does have pretty good maneuverability at a certain speed. When you're around 300, it will turn tight, but it starts to lose speed fast, and once you start losing speed, you need to level out and keep your speed up or you're gonna stall and crash. So I give it half points there. And when it comes to armor, it's very good. You can often survive multiple passes from enemy planes if you're flying evasively, and you can still take damage and keep it in the air as long as you don't get hit in the engine, because it starts losing power fast then, and then you're fucked. But yeah, otherwise, damage to the wing, damage to whatever, it can take a bit of it. So I give it full points there. So yeah, I will address attackers throughout the Russian tree as we get into a full game and see how they compare to the Il-2-37. So yeah, let's just get to the full game now. Alright, so we are in a full game on alternate history Krimsk, worst name for a map ever. And starting out, I'm heading towards the medium tanks in the center of the map, and there's an A-20 heading at me. I'm gonna roll out of the way. I do have an impressive armament that could make short work of him, but he's got 650 cals, much more accurate at long range, so I'm gonna dodge out of the way, turn around, fire off a quick salvo there, and he's fucked. He's history now. Got 2 fires going there, and there he goes. Yeah, like I was saying, the 37s are very good for taking out planes. They do pretty good amount of damage, but at long ranges they're not very accurate. The spread is pretty intense, so I'm gonna roll out of the way, use my brief window of good maneuverability to get on his tail, get a good deflection shot in there. And now we're able to head towards the tanks. The Il-10's guns are pretty much perfect for taking out tanks. Set convergence to 300 meters, zoom in, fire off one shot, that's all you need. There he goes. You should come at them from behind, the side, or kind of the top. That's where the armor's weakest. You probably already know that. I think it can penetrate the front armor in certain situations, but you shouldn't do that. You're just gonna waste ammo. And like I said earlier, if you come at an odd angle, it sometimes bounces, but for the most part, very good for taking out tanks. So, how does that compare to other attackers in the Russian tree and other nations' trees? Well, like I said, the most important thing you have to have is a plane that can take out multiple medium tanks without having to return to base, and that pretty much means you've got to have guns that penetrate the armor of medium tanks. I'm talking about a plane that can take out 10 plus tanks without having to land and rearm, and this plane could potentially take out 50. You get 100 rounds with 2 guns, so if your aim is perfect, you could take out 50 medium tanks. You're never going to do that. You're going to miss eventually, but it's possible. So when you're flying out the IL-2 or the IL-10, you get a couple rockets, you get a few bombs, and that's that. Because, I don't know if you saw my previous video with the IL-10 where I was taking out tanks with the 23mm cannons. That is no longer possible. 23s will not penetrate the armor of medium tanks anymore, so IL-10 is basically useless. If you were able to... Okay, the Il-10, it can carry either 4 132mm rockets and 2 100kg bombs, or just 2 150kg bombs. 250, I mean. So you can either, at your best, take out 3 tanks with the 1 tank for each set of rockets and 1 tank for each set of bombs, which you only get 1, or 1 tank total with 250kg bombs. Either way, that sucks dick. You're not going to be winning any games like that. The Il-2 and Il-10 have basically been reduced to a very good armored car strafing machine, which does not win games. Games are not won by armored cars, they're won by tanks, or, of course, fighters. But we're assuming you're just wanting to take a break from fighters for a bit, grind out some RP, and fly an attacker, which I do a lot. That's why I'm flying this plane, that's why I used to fly the Il-10. I get that. But I feel like you should still contribute to the game, and the Il-10 just can't do that anymore, which is disappointing. Compare that to other countries like Germany. You get the Ju-87G, you get the HS-129B2, you get the Me-410B6R3, you get the HO-229 with HVAP ammo, you get, that might be it actually. Yeah, I think that's it. On the British tree, you get the Tempest Mark V Vickers. I think that's really it for them and attackers. I guess they weren't big on that. But it has the 2 47mm cannons, I believe, which can easily take out tanks. For the Japanese tree, you get nothing. And for the US tree, you get just about every fighter with 50 cals. If you put armor-piercing bullets on that, they can take out medium tanks, strafe some Panthers, there you go. This section of the map, by the way, is a pain in the ass. Only 3 tanks here, but the hills really give you a tough time of destroying those guys. But I get it eventually, you know. So anyway, yeah. Russia basically has 1 decent attacker. And I don't know, I think that's kind of sad. I understand the 23s were not really good for taking out tanks historically, just from my readings on Wikipedia. But I'm going to go ahead and assume Browning 50 cals were not very good at it either. I don't think many World War II pilots strafed out Panthers in their P-51s in real life. Maybe it happened, I could be wrong, but I strongly doubt it. So, for the sake of balance in realistic air battles, I would say the IL-2 and IL-10 need to get that capability back, or the Americans need to get that taken away. I honestly would prefer the Russians just get it back, because why not give the Americans the ability to strafe tanks? They might as well have it. For when it comes to ground forces mixed battles, I agree it should be more realistic, but strafing AI tanks, you're not going to hurt their feelings. It's not going to be trolling them too hard if they're getting strafed out by planes that can keep repeating over and over. But that's just my opinion. Maybe the IL-10 was too OP before. Maybe it won too many games by ground forces, which it could do, and this plane can too. I don't do it in this game. I got about 13 tanks and 2 armored cars, and they only had 8 left, and I had the ammo to do it, I think, or close to it. But it was not to be. My teammates took out the last fighter on the enemy team, and that was that. I have won games in this plane before. I mean, like, I won the game by taking out tanks, but it just didn't happen this time. And I understand that doing ground attack for a video is not the most exciting thing in the world, so in this next game, it's going to be all air-to-air, which is more my thing. Okay, here we are, same map. Only difference is I've loaded out with belts for air targets instead of armor piercing this time, naturally, because I'm deliberately trying to use this thing as a fighter. I had been loading up with armor piercing just to see if maybe fighters were going to give me a hard time while I strafe tanks, but armor piercing is not as effective. I mean, they spark quite a bit taking out fighters and tend to just pass right through without doing damage. So, air targets is the way to go if you want to do that. It shouldn't be your first choice. This is obviously not a fighter. It's nowhere near powerful enough to keep up with any fighters. It has an abysmal climb rate, terrible sustained turn time, and all that. But it can be fun. I mean, 237mm cannons, that's a lot of fun if they manage to connect, so whatever. Do whatever you want to do. I'm not forcing you. So there's quite a scuffle going on over there with those P-40s chasing my teammates, so I decide that's a good place to fly towards. I see this one coming at me, so I go into a climb, set up a quick shot. He didn't stand a chance. Plain and simple. I think I only used 2 or 3 shots there, so not bad. Got plenty of ammo left. The good thing about this plane is, with all that ammo, you can kind of spray a bit, and you really need to, because it's not totally accurate by any means. So, yeah, you can spray a lot, and if there's a fighter in front of you, chances are you'll hit him, because that's a lot of ammo you're putting out there. Spitfire climbs up to me. You can really see the performance difference there. He was a good 500 feet or so below me and just zipped up there to me. I could not do anything like that in this plane, I tell you what. Just getting it up to 400 kilometers per hour takes a pretty steep dive. I switched to gunner position real quick, thinking he was going to stay on my tail, but he didn't. Then a wild Frenchman appeared. I see him, decide to cut him off, line up a perfect shot there, and he's on fire. Not much more to say about that. You just gotta look for the right opportunity. And as I was saying, the Spitfire was on my tail. I thought he was going to stay on my tail. Again, here. I've gotten kills with the tail gunner before. This thing can tank quite a bit of damage, so if you can take the damage and aim reasonably well, there's a good chance you can take out an enemy fighter on your tail with the tail gun. It's a 50 cal. I was about to line up a seriously good shot there, but that yak got a cheeky kill in. I can't get mad at him, though. He was doing his job. I'm just playing like a freaking maniac, so whatever. And I know this IL-2's in trouble over here. That's an IL-2 1941, I believe, fighting with a A-36 Apache. Funny, he's flying a plane that's basically a fighter as an attacker, and I'm flying an attacker as a fighter. Yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to get at there. But I go in to get these quick landing craft kills first, which was pretty scary, to be honest. This thing is so slow, I thought the flak was going to get me for sure, but it did not. Got 2 easy kills, a bit more RP there, not that it matters, I'm in a tier 3 plane. So, A-36 coming around the bend, he's on fire, but his nightmares have only just begun. I'm closing in fast, and I'm only going to get 1 shot at this, so I waste a lot of ammo, and there he goes. See ya, buddy. Didn't have a chance. And that will finish off the game, I believe. Oh no, there's 1 guy left, but I can't get to him in time. This plane's way too slow for that shit. You can see here I'm having trouble just making it over this mountain. That's something you gotta watch out for. If you don't have enough speed built up and there's a mountain ahead of you, you might not make it. This plane is very, very slow. Much slower than a regular IL-10 and IL-2, and handles much differently. So keep that in mind. You've got much heavier guns on this thing. That's about all you need to know. It's a fun plane to fly when you want to just fuck around. When you want to play as a serious attacker, it's very good, so what more could you ask for? Maybe a plane that has better flight characteristics, but we can't have everything, so that's all I gotta say, I think. That'll finish off that game. So, in my quest to find a replacement for the IL-10, I kinda did. The big problem is, one of my favorite things about the IL-10 was you could use it to grind jets very good, since it was at tier 4. This is obviously at tier 3, so it's no good for that. Maybe if Russia had the brains to strap 37mm cannons on an IL-10 in real life, we could have one of those, but as far as I know, that did not exist. So, yeah, that'll do it for this video. Leave any questions you might have. Flying attackers is pretty straightforward, so I don't know what you could possibly need to know. But I'll answer them. I'll do my best. I've got quite a bit of experience in this thing, so kind of know what I'm doing. So yeah, this is Hudson with P4G. Thank you for watching, and get the fuck out of here.